Welcome to No Options with Ty Gibson, the show where life's toughest trials become the foundation for your greatest triumphs. Real stories, raw conversations, and the unwavering belief that you were built to overcome. Now, here's your host, Ty Gibson.
Hey guys, I am excited. We have all types of guests on the show, and I really, the no options approach, we talk about just people going through different things and sharing our stories, because we never know who to right or left, or at a Dillard's shopping center, or you never know who may need to hear your story, right? But today I'm super excited. I've got Sheridan Larson with me, and Sheridan, thanks for being on.
Absolutely, thanks for having me.
Yes, guys, and I want to say a little bit. Sheridan's got a very, very cool story talking about being at the right place at the right time when you think things are overwhelming and all this, but sometimes it's just being at the right place at the right time, and I think that's life. And so our hope today is that listening to Sheridan, that we learn from it, because we never know if it's something that we've dealt with, or maybe we know somebody that's about to deal with it, or whatever it may be. But I do believe that obstacles sometimes we go through are things to prepare us for things ahead, right? It strengthens us, it gets us stronger in our faith, whatever that looks like, right? Whatever it looks like in your life. But Sheridan, I want to jump into the story. So before I tell too much, and I don't want to give away the story, I want you to be the one to share with us. But let's talk a little bit about you had something come up that was super exciting, right? You and your husband, Lane, you decide, you guys get pregnant, and then let's take it from there and kind of talk about where that road went from excitement of pregnancy and a new child in our life to take it from there, Sheridan.
I found out when I was pregnant after he'd been at boot camp for 2 weeks. I was probably 10 or 12 weeks along by the time I found out. We had joked about, oh, what if I am? And he's like, no, you're not. My dog told me I was pregnant. He kept laying on my stomach. He told me I was pregnant. And I was like, oh, but what if I am? And he goes, you don't tell me till I get out. So I didn't. He'd been gone 2 weeks. He had another 6 weeks at boot camp. And so I held my little secret for a couple of weeks. And finally, we end up in New Jersey once he's out. And, we're excited. And, it's taken a while to get the insurance and everything. And so when we finally get the insurance ready, we go to the doctor. I'm probably 20 weeks along at this point, and we just happened to wind up in New Jersey at the right ultrasound clinic with the right tech and everything, and she was looking at the baby. We can see like the gender and everything at this point, and she can see my spleen and goes, huh, that's weird. She knew that it was my spleen, knew that it was weird, knew to tell the right person, who knew to check me out again, verify.
Hold on 1 second there, Sheridan. So was this doctor the doctor that you just had through the military hospital, or was it that, or was this a doctor?
They were a doctor in the town that we lived in at the time, and they were covered by insurance. We just went with the first people that were covered by insurance. Okay. Being military insurance, they cover most stuff, but they're real picky about who you see. And so we're like, well, sure. They take TRICARE, there we go. And so it was really a roll of the dice to just, oh, yep, that one works. And it worked out so well that they knew, based on the ultrasounds that they saw, they knew I needed to see an oncologist and not just like an endocrinologist, not just like an internal medicine doctor, but like specifically a cancer doctor.
So how did they share that with you? How did they share that news with you?
They were just like, oh, you need to go see this other specialist. You need to go see a more specialized specialist. You need to go see a hematology oncologist. I was like, ew, that sounds bad. But we went, and it was called Hope Cancer Center in New Jersey. And my doctor's name was Julia Childs. And I loved her. She was so gentle. And she goes, it's probably nothing, but let's check it out. And they then sent me to Philadelphia, which from New Jersey, it was about a 2.5 hour drive. Mm-hmm. And they were like, we don't really have anything to do about it yet, but it is cancer. It's probably not going to bug you for probably 5 or 10 years, but it's cancer. I was like, oh, 5 or 10 years? I got this. They were like, did you not It's cancer. You heard that, right? I said, yeah. You said 5 or 10 years. God's got this. We're good. I had such a mild reaction that they thought I did not understand. When in reality, I just had faith.
I love that. And I think that's a point I want to bring up. I think, you know, I mean, what a, you go in excited about a pregnancy, and then and I think you and I talked just briefly before we got on the recording, but there's a lot of young couples and young ladies out there that have been in, similar shoes, obviously different medical reasons, but different things and challenges of having children, or finding out that they can't have children, all these different things. And it's such an emotional roller coaster, but to go in on those exciting times and then to find out that you have cancer, and you took it with such great acceptance, but you mentioned that it was because of faith, and I'm a man of faith, and I truly respect you for that. And I think a lot of times in those situations there's strength that we don't even realize we have that kicks in, right? And I love that, right? But I will tell you, I really respect the fact that you were able to have that kind of strength, but in such a daunting time, right? I mean, is your husband back home at this time, or
yes,
is he with you?
So
okay.
Thankfully, he called me about halfway through boot camp, and he's a paramedic. Mm-hmm. He's got an associate's in paramedicine. That's what he does.
Right.
And he called me about halfway through boot camp and said, hey, they'll keep me off, because he was Coast Guard, so he was on the ships and helicopters and all that. He said, hey, they'll keep me on land if I work on the ambulance at the boot camp facility in Cape May. And I was like, yeah, that's great, babe. Do that. Because what he didn't know that I knew is that I was pregnant.
Yes.
So he was able to be home.
Timing thing that just worked out, right? I mean, what
exactly.
What
it just worked out that he was able to be home and taking all these visits, because it was a 48 hours on, 48 hours off. So half the week he was off to go to all these appointments with me, so I was never alone.
That's awesome. Yeah. Wow. And it's just, again, I think it's just being at the right place at the right time. I mean, so let's go there for a minute. You found out this information, it possibly cancer. You go into this Hope Cancer Center, excited over here on this side about a possible child, and now you're finding out that cancer. So you got all these mixed emotions, right? And then, so what did the road look like ahead from there? After they told you, what were the next steps?
So it was really just a hurry up and wait kind of thing. Of course, classic military. It was, now all we do is know. It was the fact that what I had was so rare, and I was affected so young, because generally it's a geriatric condition. And so what I had was so rare, and I had it so young. So I am the 1% of the 1%. Because if there's going to be a 1 in a billion chance, it's going to be Sheridan.
I can relate to that. I can relate to those things there. I feel like that's kind of my story too, Sheridan. So I don't want to pass up an important note there. Tell us the name of the cancer that you
myelofibrosis.
And you said that it is mostly in the aging community, not so much in a young 20-year-old girl. So
I was the youngest patient almost all of my doctors had seen. By decades, I was the youngest that most of my doctors had seen for this condition. Wow.
So okay, so the 1% of the 1%, right, which is a rarity. So walk us through those next steps. So now you've been told you've got this. And I talk a lot about the power of our mind, right? I'm curious. What were you thinking through this stages? Did you still have that faith of that just this was going to be okay? Or were you just okay with whatever happens? Faith has this, right? Is that kind of where you looked at it?
It was a lot of God's got this. It was a lot of, I know he's got big things for me in the future. This is not the end. I had a lot of doctors ask me the exact question, are you having any symptoms? Nobody ever told me what the symptoms were. Everything was normal to me. I've been like this forever.
Yeah.
And it turns out that a lot of the symptoms aren't normal. You know, it's normal for kids to go through growing pains. It's not normal for your bones to hurt. But another thing is that I have autism. I have trouble verbalizing and communicating clearly. And so I take things very literally. And so it's, you know, my body hurts. They're like, well, does it hurt like muscle? Does it hurt like bone? I was like, I don't know. It just hurts. I can't tell. I can't verbalize that. And so, like, my bones were hurting when I was younger. And they're like, oh, it's growing pains. All kids go through that. And you're like, oh, you're right. That's okay. It's fine now. And we didn't know what it was. And a lot of the things are normal. Being anemic as a 17-year-old girl, normal. But that's also a symptom. It's, oh,
So
you're
there's a
let's
lot
all...
of contradicting symptoms that with the teenage
It's a lot
daughter-
of vagueness that's like, oh, that could be a symptom, but also most people go through that. And so it was, no, this is all normal. Everything was normal. And so I didn't know that I was having symptoms. So it wasn't until, let's see, that was when I was pregnant with Lucy. So that was in 2018. It wasn't until 2022 that I was like, oh, hold on. Let me do a little research since I've never been told anything. Let me do a little research to figure out what the symptoms are. I was like, wait, I don't have to live like this? This isn't normal? Mind blown.
So, and I'm sure people are going to they're wondering right now. So let's talk about this. With those challenges, you know, we all go, oh my gosh, what happened, right? What was, tell us the end of the story type thing. So I want you to the pregnancy, I mean, with the cancer and then the pregnancy was still a very much success. Tell us a little bit about
so
Lucy.
I was on blood thinners throughout the pregnancy, which usually you're never going to want to be on blood thinners, but because I was a clot risk because of the myelofibrosis, I was on blood thinners. And I think the only hiccup we had was my doctor's not reading my chart. I was given not a blood thinner, but something that puts you more at risk for hemorrhaging if you've been on blood thinners. Somebody didn't read my chart. Somebody did not consult my other doctor. Gave me, I think it was Tylenol or ibuprofen, one of the two. And I hemorrhaged after I had her, like almost a full day after I had her. But it all turned out fine. I didn't need to be given blood or anything, which is also because my body produced a little too much, which is what made me a clot risk in the first place. So the cancer itself caused the risk of bleeding out, but it also kind of helped me. But that was fully human error and totally preventable. Definitely advocate for yourself. Make sure they're reading your chart. Make sure if you have other doctors, make sure they're calling the team and not just, oh yeah, this is what's normal if your body is not normal.
You know, I think that's a good lesson. We talk about that a lot, especially in the medical world. You know, I've been through it. In fact, I was on an interview today talking about the same thing about when you have, I mean, you know, we're so comfortable with doctors and them taking care of us but we can't go in, you can't ever go in there without being, you know, on your toes, right? I guess for lack of a better word, because we've got to make sure a lot of times one doctor's not communicating with the other doctor. They're doing things to help us here, but it may be causing another problem over here that this doctor doesn't even realize. So I think you brought up a great point. I mean, we always have to advocate and be very cautious of the meds we're taking, the meds they're wanting to give us, all those good things. Because, first of all, I want to say, you know, I love your courageous attitude and your faith-driven, you know, approach. But through that, right, you had some really hard times. I mean, we obviously with cancer, no one ever knows what's going to happen. So in your mind, you always had that thought. But through the pregnancy, you had an amazing young daughter, and her name is Lucy.
Yes.
And Lucy is 7 right now. Is that correct?
Lucy is 7, and feral is a good word to describe her. She wore a shirt that said "raised in a barn" today, and I don't think I've ever seen her wear anything more accurate. I did have to make her come in and go to bed because she would not get off the goats the other day. She is everything I wanted a boy. And we found out it was a girl, and I said, I'll make this work. She plays in the mud, she trains the dog, she rides the goats, whether I want her to or not, because they stink. She feeds her chickens, and she has a pet turkey, and but
wow.
Tutus are her jam. She is everything I ever wanted. And we're
Ride
one
the
and
go.
done. Like
I love it.
she's an only child, staying that way. She gets a little sad that she doesn't have siblings, but she does have a cousin a little bit younger than her. And I said, yeah, that's good enough for you. You're enough.
Well, I mean, it's such a cool story to hear. One, that you had, Lucy came through this, and now you guys are, for 7 years now have gotten to enjoy just a joy. It sounds like she's a joy. I have never got to meet Lucy, but I can't wait to do that.
Yes.
But I will say, and I want to encourage people through. This is a kind of a point where we talk about whatever people are going through, right? I mean, I think if we go into it with the right approach, right? And when I talk about this a lot, right? The no options mindset of what if we just approach things that we didn't have any other options, but to go through, right? Sometimes we let that option of giving up or quitting or not pursuing, or and one of my steps is grow or die, and I talk about it all the time. And I don't mean die physically. I'm talking about letting go of those dreams and letting those die, or your purpose, or whatever that looks like. In your case, letting this pregnancy go, right? And it was so I love the determination that you were able to push through, because I think that's important in everything. I mean, I really believe life is hard, right? And see, I mean, every day is we deal with adversity every day. I'm sure you and your husband deal with adversity in different ways all the time, and we all do. Everybody listening does. But it's how we go through it. It's how we approach it. And I think that's so important to learn here, that Sheridan went through all of this, but she came in it with the right attitude, the right mindset, and here we are on the other side of adversity. Some amazing things, which I really love. And on your side was Lucy, right? And we're getting to see Lucy ride goats in her tutu now, and it's amazing. So I want to encourage people through this. So whatever people are going through, just keep in mind there's some amazing things on the other side of that adversity. And Sheridan's been a great example. Now you talk about some good news, right? Just recently, you guys talked about. Tell us about that.
So, just recently, we have, in 2023, we went through all the treatments and everything. And this summer, we are hitting my last oncology appointment. Because what I had was so rare, it has been more research than most rare cancers like this. But the treatment I got was curative. It's not remission. It's not waiting for it to come back. I am going to my last oncology appointment this July. It is done.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations to that. I mean, and did you hear it? It is cured. It's not in remission. What an amazing, cool. That's something to celebrate. That is really definitely something to celebrate. So, well, congratulations to that. Now, I got a question. Is Lucy going to have any more siblings, or no? Do we know?
We're done. We thought for a long time that we wanted more, but the more we prayed about it, the more we talked to each other and talked to God, we're like, I think we're done. People of faith love to tell me, oh, but that's really not up to you, it's up to God. I'm like, well, chemo sterilized me, and that was all him, so
that's right.
He said we're good to be done.
Well, there's a plan, right? And as you know, and Sheridan, I promise you, Lucy, that may be why she's going to give you all you can handle, because she needs to be an only child.
People love to talk about how firstborns are so much calmer and well-behaved than secondborns. I got my secondborn first. Like I said earlier, feral is a very good descriptor for her, because she really is. She is so much enough. That's
awesome. Well, kids are amazing, and as they grow up, they get more amazing. It's funny, we talk about kids all the time. We're like, oh, she's just going through a stage. But what we realize now that I've had 2 daughters, stages never quit. They keep. Now I've got a 33-year-old that's still going through different stages, married and all this. I've got my wife and I have Reese, who's 15. She's going through different stages. So they go through stages their whole life. And they're so much fun, and you'll love every bit of that. So now, tell us a little bit of what you guys are doing, and currently, what's going on in Sheridan and Lane's life right now. You guys Sheridan just finished up military, is that correct?
My husband did, yeah. So he just got out of the Coast Guard last month. He fully severed. So he did his last 2 years reserves. And this past April, he fully severed. So we're very excited to be a little more free. You know, he doesn't have to shave his face once a month and go hang out in the Coast Guard and, you know, do all that, relieve them on the weekend. And so it's a lot more freedom than we've had basically our whole marriage, because we weren't married not even a year when he joined up.
That's awesome. Well, and please pass on to Lane. Thank you for his service. And I know behind every military person, there's another great supporter. So thank you for that. But I want, and then you are currently working in, you know, I'm a big pet guy. I got to tell you up front. I love dogs. In fact, I'm surprised one of my dogs hasn't been in here to greet me while I'm doing this. But tell us a little bit about what you're doing, because I think it's very, very awesome what you're doing as well.
I'm an adoption coordinator for my local municipal shelter here in Victoria County. I do like events and stuff. My lead adoption coordinator really does so much more, God bless her. But I really just kind of follow her lead, and we get a lot of dogs out of the shelter and out of harm's way, off the streets and stuff like that. You know, we're really a great team. Our officers are amazing. We have a new director who's super awesome. But we've moved from out past the airport to over at Profit, and our foot traffic has just skyrocketed. We've got so many great volunteers, and it's just really awesome. We're doing it.
And that's in the Victoria area, Victoria, Texas,
yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So, well, thank you for what you do too, because I tell you, I'm a sucker for all these animals and dogs especially. And my daughter's very much like you. She's every dog. I've got to keep her from just getting more and more dogs. So, but thank you for that. And I, you know, I truly believe, you know, helping others and helping animals and just caring for people and things like dogs and cats is important. You know, I always say this world it's a tough world out there. And I encourage people to share their story like you do, because here's the thing, is we never know the person to our right or left or at the grocery store or wherever needs to hear today, right? As I mentioned earlier. And so I encourage people, we all have a story, and I'm very thankful that Sheridan is sharing her story today, because we never know who we can connect with, right? And help others through their challenges. And I can promise you, Sheridan, you know, with your courage and faith and all that, we hope you've connected with some young mom today that really needed to hear your message. And thank you for that, because if we connect with one, it was well worth all of our time. So, but I want to thank you. And now before we go, what is there anything that you would like to just leave the audience of? Is there a message for the group, or just an encouragement that you want to leave with the group?
I'll say one thing my nurses and everything said to me when I was going through the 30-day stint in the hospital for the transplant, for the stem cell transplant for the cancer treatment, was my positive attitude made all the difference. I would always wear like silky matching set pajamas because I knew I was going to feel bad, but I would not be looking bad and feeling bad at the same time. Like, I wanted that positive element. And they said that my positive outlook is a game changer, because your attitude affects the outcome every single time, even in things like cancer treatment.
Well, and I mean, I can't think of a better statement. I think that's something we all, you know, in life, such a true statement. And thank you for sharing that. You know, even you know, a rare cancer like yours. But I mean, if we go into the day with the right attitude, it sure makes it a lot better. So, Sheridan, I'm very thankful. And again, thank you for your courageous approach to this and willing to share it. So, but I will tell you guys, please, if there's anything we can help with, I know how to get a hold of Sheridan. And if there's somebody that just needs to talk, I'm sure we can talk and get answers for you. But if you'll go to my website, tygibson.com, my contact's on there, and that phone number that's on there is my cell phone. And I put it on there because I want people to reach out. If there's any way we can help you through my guest, like Sheridan, or anything that we can just connect with you, that maybe this message radiate with you, that you have questions about, we can get answers for you. So, but I appreciate you, Sheridan. Have a great day, and thanks again for being on tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoy getting to share this and encourage others.
Hey guys, thanks so much for listening to No Options. If this episode spoke to you, please take a moment and leave a review. And more importantly, please share it with someone who may need to hear it. You can find more stories, resources, and ways to connect over at my website, tygibson.com. And that is Gibson with a P, TYGIPSON.com. Remember, no matter where you are, your story isn't over yet if you live like you have no options. I'll see you next time.
You know Ty Gibson is an entrepreneur, a relentless survivor. Did you know he's also a powerhouse speaker? After overcoming 3 transplants of juvenile diabetes, he built thriving businesses with one mantra: no options. Ty transforms adversity into action. His keynotes ignite audiences with real-world resilience and 30-plus years of sales mastery. Are you ready to inspire your team? Book Ty Gibson today as your next speaker. You can call 512-944-4780 or head over to tygibson.com. That's Gibson with a P. It's time for your event to share the motivation that is no options.